And draining the life out of me.
Draining something.
Oh, thank you guys. Let's do the intro. Oh boy, I tell you.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
It's funny, Dave, because draining the life out of me was kind of a reference to this episode. But yeah, you're killing me, guys, in the chat.
Well, at least, Ed, you'll weigh less tomorrow.
Ed, yes. Oh my. Okay, enough. Anyways, hey everybody, welcome to Late Horror Show. I am Dino, and that is Dave Plouffe. Thinks the eyes have it in this episode.
I do.
Yeah, you really do, huh? Yeah. Especially the pictures and the X-ray. But hello, everybody. Hit that thumbs up button. Check out the links below to Dave's channel if it's working. Is it working, Dave? I think it is.
I haven't checked lately.
Okay. Anyways, yes, we're going to talk Kolchak tonight. Season 1, episode 10, The Energy Eater. We got somebody in this, Nurse Janice. We'll talk about her in a second. Kind of a crush when I was younger. She was in every TV episode out there, or TV show out there at the time, but she also worked with Woody Allen, Gene Wilder. Anyways, let me say hello to everybody.
Well, before you do, tell you what, you can have Janice as long as I can have Elaine.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. I mean, Elaine was very beautiful. Yeah. Hello, Connie Clary. Ed Stathis, what's going on? WTF Horror and Sci-Fi, what is going on? Laura, good to see you, Laura. Sweet Indigo, what is going on? Always good to see you. Andrea Black is here. Who else is here? Let's see. You had some interesting things to say, WTF Horror and Sci-Fi. Yeah, the latest True Detective series, Ed Stathis, has Native American culture in it, myths and story. It's the new True Detective. Have you watched any of those, Dave, on HBO, the HBO series? The very first one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, one of the best detective shows, seasons out there. I love the dark aspect of what they were doing. But HBO went and they kind of did a different style in each season, kind of like American Horror Story did. And in this latest one, Jodie Foster's in it, and I'm not giving nothing away, but it takes place in an Alaskan town and does involve Native culture, and it almost feels like 1982's The Thing in some ways. And I'm like, what a weird way to go about True Detective, because it felt kind of supernatural, kind of like The Thing, sci-fi a bit, but then that's not really where it goes. It's very interesting. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about culture.
Well, can we talk about Jodie Foster?
We sure can. Yes, go ahead.
Did you have a crush on her as a kid?
You know what? What could I have had a crush on her with? Because I know Taxi Driver. She was very young.
Well, yes. She was of course, The Bad News Bears. Yes. And she was in Bugsy Malone with Scott Baio.
Okay. Bugsy
Malone. I think that's where I kind of was in love with her there.
Bugsy Malone. Okay. Yeah. Because I think after that, the only thing I've seen her in was First Contact, right?
Yes.
And then there was all kinds of other movies nothing really caught me, but beautiful woman, beautiful. Even now at her, aged wine stage of life, she's still very beautiful. But anyways, WTF Horror and Sci-Fi, you said this was your fave episode, is what you said. And you said you thought Jim Elkhorn, who we'll talk about in this, you thought they were trying to go with a side, kind of a Native American sidekick kind of thing. I didn't feel that at all. But nothing, listen, it's interesting, I told Dave, how we all have a different idea on shows we watch or episodes we watch, how they affect us, what we're thinking. all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We can put the facts and the info out there, but we all have a different feel for these shows, right?
Agreed.
Yes.
Out of all the ones, I think I liked this one the least.
Me too. That's what I don't even know what I was trying to say. I was trying to say something very poignant, but it just said.
And you did.
Okay.
Everyone likes things for a certain reason. Maybe it's the time that you're watching it or whatever, or there's certain aspects or jokes that are said in this film.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the women. And, it's just like, oh, this is my favorite. Yeah, and it's just like other people, this is one of the lower rated Kolchaks. And I knew that.
Why?
I think I was just disappointed because of the lack of different locales.
Yes, that 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it was a lazy script too.
It was. I agree.
Yeah. Except for a couple good lines, which, anybody could throw a joke line out there. Hey, William Cromer and MOR, what's going on? Good to see you. But, and it's still a watchable episode, but I can see why it's one of the lower rated ones. They even did that thing with the door, like where that was in Night Stalker, right? Am I wrong? The movie one where the door shook and kind of just blew, or was that another episode? But they used that technique.
Another episode. Yeah.
Okay. They used that
like the zombie episode.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the technique before, and I'm like going, yeah, it's like they just had to push and rush to get an episode together, and yeah, like you said, everything in one location. And I tell you, Dave, we're going to talk about what it's all about, again, the plot and what's going on with the energy eater. But the basement of this hospital, how many times do you plaster up walls and everything else before somebody steps in? You know what I mean? Listen, I know this was, decades ago when things like that did happen, but it's just, come on.
Well, sure. But to me, being in California, it was just like, no big deal. We're so used to earthquakes. And we do get those fracturing. And it's funny because we had a major earthquake back in 94. It was our Northridge earthquake.
Okay.
And we have some buildings that you can still see massive fissures in as you go in, like our criminal courts building in downtown LA. It's got like huge, like.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that with the like earthquakes and stuff, but not in a city where you don't get them. And then they know what it's just being caused by these weird things, and then the deaths and everything else going on. Hello, A Shadow from the Tomb. Good to see you. And WTF.
But also being so close to the river or the Great Lake, I would be worried it was like water unsettling underneath it. And
oh gosh, listen, there's a salt for, I don't know, 200 years. I don't know how long it's been, but they've been mining the salt. Morton salt comes from there underneath Lake Erie.
I do remember that.
Yeah, giant mine, because the glacier came down, pushed it, created the Great Lakes, backed up, but left that salt deposit, underneath there. And man, if you look at how deep they are underneath the lake and the equipment, I'm like going, whoa, that is scary, man. Scary. And WTF Horror and Sci-Fi. Great episode. One of the best. Audience is wrong. At times, I don't know if WTF is pulling my leg, because I know I've seen his channel. So I don't, but listen, we all got our favorites. Even some of the worst movies and shows is somebody's favorite. I've said that. I need a shirt that says that. But let's talk about the episode, Dave.
Well, I will tell you, the guy who plays Jim Elkhorn in this, talking about bad movies, was also Lord Zombie in Zombiegeddon from 2003. That got a IMDb rating of 2.3.
Okay. Jim Elkhorn was, listen, he plays a Native American in this episode.
A Native American gigolo.
Yes, Native American gigolo, who's supposed to be a shaman. Okay, So yes, a lot of Native American. I mean, the whole concept of what's going on is like paranormal. You know what I mean? Things we talk about and we've heard on Art Bell. You know, something underneath the hospital, and if we're talking Native American, and we'll get to that because there's a interesting name. I want to see if Dave can pronounce it. But yeah, he's a Native American gigolo. And oh, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, you guys. Thank you very much. Please and welcome. He has played in a lot of TV shows back in the day too.
Oh my gosh, almost 300 episodes.
Yes.
300 acting credits, including as far back as the 1940s. He played a kid with Judy Garland in Meet Me in St. Louis, a musical.
Okay.
You know, I remember my sister watching that all the time when we were growing up. She was hooked on musicals, that and South Pacific.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I never have to see those again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Love your channel, says Sam. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Really do appreciate that. Brian Kirkham is here. And yeah. So where do we go? The Energy Eater. There's a hospital.
Yeah, we need to go to the hospital. Well, first of all, we have an incredible opening shot, several shots of Chicago, which was really my favorite part of the whole episode, where it looks like, you know, helicopter footage, just flying around all the high rises and all the cool buildings and the
little
water
extended. Little
extended. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they extended that scene over an aerial shot. Again, whether they didn't have enough footage or so, because this show seems lazy. I mean, this episode seems a bit lazy. I'm like going, oh, this is a different opening. They're going a little bit longer with the, you know, if it would have went on 5 minutes, then I would have had some issues. You know, that was maybe a little too long. But yeah, I'm used to Kolchak starting it off, you know, like, oh my God. But we get to that after the aerial shot. But yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Well, Kolchak shows up as a member of the press to this grand opening of this hospital right on the shoreline in Chicago. And I love, there's this great back and forth with this beautiful girl checking him in. And he asks her, is there anyone here important, you know, for this grand opening thing? And she's all, no, it's just a bunch of reporters.
Yeah. What a put down for Carl Kolchak. Yeah. Hello, Mama Lynn and Sin City Jim says, great episode. Yeah, it's all right.
Did you like the hats, by the way, that the girls were wearing?
That's the next thing I was gonna talk about. Girls were wearing this kind of, what kind of hat is that?
It's kind of like a muffin hat.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And then it's kind of like it's got a big brim on it.
Yes. It's a very unique appearance for this conference they're having to give a tour for this hospital, which is a hospital for, what did they say? Like, it's for anti-aging, and that's what they're really working on. And am I wrong? Or is it just a hospital?
No, it's just a regular hospital. All sorts of different wards are in the hospital. Miss Emily has a problem.
Watch a movie at the same time then. Go ahead.
That's all right. Miss Emily does have a problem about the lack of geriatric facilities in this hospital, though.
Yes, Miss Emily at the newspaper office yeah, she's got a couple lines in this one. She gets mad too. She blows her geriatric top.
She does, and she shouldn't, you know, at her age, she shouldn't get angry. But did you note the architect did you recognize the architect that was on stage that we see throughout the episode? Because we've seen him recently in something we've talked about.
Hold on. No. Mama Lynn, it is good to see you on the channel. Welcome for sure. Anytime I see new people, definitely. Me and Dave do these shows every Sunday, and we kind of rotate with Kolchak and Wild West. I think we might be doing now. But
yeah, over 1,200 hits on that episode.
Yeah, so you know, we'll probably throw that in the mix. But yeah, welcome. Who is the architect on the stage, Dave?
So the architect is Walter Green, I think was his name in the episode. Let me get his real name. Michael Strong, who was in a Columbo episode with Dick Van Dyke. He was one of the other police officers who told Columbo to go home and get some sleep and get a shave. And at the end of that episode, when they kind of trapped Dick Van Dyke into picking the camera, which was the camera used by the murderer, he says, "You just incriminated yourself. You knew the camera."
Yes.
You know, so he was one of the sergeants in Columbo recently.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Lots of interesting people. I mean, we've got, of course, Carl and Vincenzo in this episode, though, there's a little bit more interaction.
There is. And luckily we don't have as much from the other guy.
Yeah. Updike.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is having Vincenzo have a little bit more of a, well, not very much, but there's more of Vincenzo in this. He's at the end. Even in the middle, there's this gangland shooting, that happens. And Carl and him go back and forth, and he goes, well, have you ever done these? Nobody speaks. 20 people are in the restroom, because they'll never talk. They won't give up what they seen, because they're scared something might happen. And that's the way it was back then. You open up your mouth, you're going to get a pista, So Vincenzo goes, he takes on the story.
Yeah.
I wish we would have heard about the story, but we never did.
I do too. I would have loved to have heard the outcome. I really enjoyed that part when he goes, "I was a street reporter when Chicago was an actual scary place. And we dealt with the mafia one-on-one." And I was like, okay. So
I would have loved to have seen like some part right after that where they're giving Vincenzo, or at the end where they're giving Vincenzo an award on the article that he wrote. I think that would have been interesting.
I think it would have been funny if he ended up in the bed next to Kolchak in the hospital. Maybe
Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel. Some Laurel and Hardy stuff. Hey,
elevated.
Well, that's County Hospital where Stan Laurel actually comes to visit. So he's not actually in the hospital with him. But that's a funny episode, Dave. I
always think about the end of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World when everyone's in the hospital with their different ailments.
Yeah. There was also a Looney Tune like that where all of the, like Sylvester, Tweety, and the dog, all three of them were in the hospital because they were chasing each other throughout the whole episode. Anyways, let's see. I know Laura. Okay, so let's continue. This hospital, brand new, big facility, brand new. They're raving about it. Going to give it a tour.
Got that 70s look to it on the exterior.
Yes,
actually, I really appreciated that. It was kind of like a very postmodern building.
Yes.
Inside, they're doing the press junket, talking about all the, grand opening and everything. And then there's a power fluctuation. So they're all, just stay calm, everyone. When really in the basement, the high voltage thing is exploding and it kills someone. But what I loved about that scene is after the lights are flickering, the power's flickering, let's take the elevators. That is the last thing I would have gotten on.
Again, listen, I think half of this episode takes place in that basement area. And it's just overkill. I mean, like I said, it's constantly the same scenes, cracks in the wall, crack in the ground, people dying in every room, from the electricity. And yeah, I think it was what kind of killed this episode for me. But
no pun intended.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, the hostesses, I love that. I don't understand why they were in those get-ups, but it's a hospital. But anyways, and the energy when that guy died by touching all of the by electrocution, which again, all of these people are dying from electricity. And eventually all the patients start to die also from this. Well, certain patients, and they're covering all of that up. So the hospital's covering up the foundation, what's going on down there. They're covering up the deaths that are happening, and they're just opening this place. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And we even learned that we had a couple Native Americans that died in the construction of it before it even opened. So,
Yep.
I mean, there is a really high death count on this episode of Kolchak.
There is, yes. And I like the first time that, because when the tour is going on, there's a little talk after the guy dies between the main guy there and everybody for the tour. And Carl Kolchak, of course, overhears that he can't go down to the lower level. And of course, that means he's going to go down there. So he jumps in there. He follows Nurse Janice, who we're introduced to, because she's the one that came out and told them that, hey, the guy died down there, So he follows her all the way down into the elevator, and she's going to take it all the way down to the basement. And as soon as they get down there, I love the expression on Carl's face when the doors open and the heat hits him, because it's just super boiling hot down there. And, the air conditioning's working, because he goes up there and he says, it's working. What's causing all the heat down there? I don't even know how anybody could work down there if the heat was like 120 degrees.
Yeah, I don't either. But that elevator actually scared me because I couldn't read really like the buttons. It was like LL2, LL3. I go, is it going lower? Is it going higher? How do I get back to the lobby?
Right. I would have been mixed up and scared. I think it was lower level 1, lower level 2, lower level 3. I mean, I guess they had multiple lower levels.
I guess so, but I wouldn't mind having, being stuck in that elevator with that nurse.
No. Again, Nurse Janice, played by Elaine Giftos. You would recognize her if you've seen anything in the 70s, and again, had a crush on her, and she just has that different look, especially later on when she gets dressed up and goes to Jim Alcorn's apartment. But
she does have a different look. I didn't think she was as attractive when they went to the apartment as she was as a nurse.
Oh, really, Dave?
Yeah, I thought she was more attractive dressed up as a nurse. But when I first saw her, I really thought it looked like Diana Canova from Judy Canova's daughter. And but it wasn't. So fun fact about Nurse Janice is that she is a classically trained ballerina. And you will see her in a Murder, She Wrote episode.
There you go.
Malady on Broadway, where she plays a ballerina.
Jessica Harper, right? Jessica Fletcher. I know. They had some kind of energy monster on Outer Limits, I think. Yes, Ed Stathis, they certainly did. The galaxy being, it came from out of the woodwork, Ed Stathis. There you go. But yeah, no, very interesting. And he's going to use her. She's kind of the character that he's going to use to kind of get information from Jim Alcorn, because he's going to be the guy that they need to go to, because he's a shaman. He's the Native American. He's head of the Native American construction workers that are working on the hospital. So,
Native American Union 323. One of the things that I wanted to point out as well is, first of all, if I ever get more money than I need, I'm going to have a wing of my house that is 1970s office building corridors. I just absolutely love that, with the elevators, the doors, the little brackets, the colors, the flooring is just perfect. And did you notice in between the elevators, and this is something for our age, is that next to the elevators, it had that silver cup thing for you to put your cigarette in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we had that a lot in department stores. So, you tap your cigarette on the top, and then there's a button you can press, and the doors open up, and it goes into the into the bucket part.
Yes. You know what? You think along the same lines as me. I would. And hello, hey yo, Tomo, what's going on? AJ Starhiker, what's going on? Good to see you. I think I said hello to William. Good to see you, William. Yeah. Listen, I was going to talk. Dave likes Nurse. Yeah, I was going to ask if we need to talk about that, Dave. Lay back on the couch. I have some questions about why must it be the nurse outfit? What is there something in your past? Or
I'm hoping there's going to be something in my future.
Did
they?
Did,
they make good money. We got, hey.
Did you have a crush on a nurse when you were younger? I mean, what's going on there, Dave?
Not that I know of, but
dreams, were there deep dreams of nurses? Forget it. Okay, let's move on. I'm getting out of control. Hey, Bubba, what's going on? Good to see you. CM. Well, speaking of the 70s and how you would like to, if you made money.
By the way, and Brian Kirkham, I'm so old. I remember when we had cigarette machines in restaurants where you could put like $2 of quarters in. Press the button and your cigarettes would come out.
They would cut up his steak at Ponderosa. That's how old Dave is. No, listen. Speaking of, again, I talked about this, I think, before. If I won the lottery too, I think, like, if I, 500 million or whatever. Yeah. Oh boy. I would just make this huge building, and part of it would be for living, but then there'd be sections where it would be 70s, there'd be a whole section for 80s, 20s, 30s, 40s. I think there'd be a decade so that when I feel like living in the 50s, I'm going to go to the 50s house,
nice.
Or the 40s house, or the 20s house, or the stuff. You know what I mean? I wonder if there's people out there who do that, or is it just us people who don't have money who dream of those things?
I guess so.
And maybe when we get the money, we won't care to do that because we'll be living on the beach. I don't know. Could be. Listen, no, I think I would do that. Man, this is good ginger ale. Okay, Dave.
Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, back to Kolchak.
All right.
Good to see you guys in the chat, man. I missed those days.
As we near the bottom of the hour, how many thumbs up do we have?
Oh, we're already at the bottom of the hour. We're barely getting into the episode. Yeah, this is what we call winging it. Let's see. We got 52 thumbs up. 52 thumbs up. Thank you, each and every one of you who hit that thumbs up. Please and thank you. Welcome. Yeah. Did I say all the right words? I think so.
I hope
kind
so.
Sir, kind gentlemen, and kind Mrs. and Mrs. and Miss. Okay.
And Bubba says he's going to build a drive-in.
Yes, that's a good idea too.
Awesome. I immediately thought drive-through, and I'm all, that's a little weird. What are you going to be serving? And then I reread it, and it was drive-in. I'm like, oh, I got it now.
Hey, Tommy, what's going on? And yeah. So after the hospital and that incident, Carl goes back. He kind of wrote a crappy little article, and Vincenzo's giving him the business. And there's
he didn't even write it. It was Miss Emily.
Yes, Miss Emily.
Yeah, he paid off Miss Emily to write.
Get into that. Get into the old geriatrics after that's Bo. There's Bo.
Bo. So Miss Emily basically got paid off to write the article, and Vincenzo is not pleased about it. But Carl, he's already smelling that there's a supernatural creature.
Oh yeah, of course.
And he's trying to figuring out what to do. He makes a phone call to a person who I guess he saved his butt with some investigative reporting, very George Knapp-like, of another engineer, and he sneaks the engineer down as a doctor. And then the engineer's looking around, and he's going like, this is settling. This is, all common stuff that you could see and understand.
Yes, and this is the part where Vincenzo like talks about Miss Emily as an old gray, why are you giving her stuff, and right? This is it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she basically she had it. She's like, I'm sick of you people putting down us geriatrics, us old folk.
And she gets up and in his face. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
like, oh, I'm just typing. She gets up and she goes, we're called the gray-haired grannies or whatever name
yes.
that
And
group
in his
was.
face even. I don't think she meant it.
Yeah.
I don't think the dentures were working, but she was pissed off, Dave.
She was. We've never seen her like this before.
I have not. It's a different side of Miss Emily. I'm not sure I totally like it, because I think of sitting down, having nice tea or coffee with her and talking about the good old days and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if I were to say something wrong, she'd get up all in my face, and give me the hand or something.
True.
Yeah,
I agree. She is a tea drinker, and I would also say shortbread cookies.
there you
No
go.
chocolate, no caramel, no nothing, just pure shortbread and tea.
That's another interesting thing too. Connie says a 50s diner. Yes, again, all the stuff I would have, and I would hire a cook to be in that diner when I eat. And Southern Coke Drinker Laura says a nightclub called Decades. Yeah, I mean, that's another good idea too, where you can. I wanted a dream of mine. It still kind of is, but I know it would never happen. Is to open up a movie theater like from the 1920s, have the aesthetic look like the 1920s, just because I love movie theaters from that era, but play the old like black and white movies, and stuff like that. Just, I would love to do that. Have the lobby look like it would look back then, and hire actors and actresses to be like, have a gangster back up in the corner, putting on a deal with some other guy, and then a fight breaks out or something, like, a show within a show. You see the movie when you come out for a break or the movie ends, something like.
I like that. I just kept in my brain flashing a Zoot Suiter swinging around a chain.
Oh, Zoot Suit Riot, going for a pocket of booze or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, okay, let's get back to the show.
All right.
Well, okay, so Carl Kolchak goes back to the hospital after this thing with Miss Emily blowing up at Vincenzo. And Vincenzo's going to take the article and do it. And Carl Kolchak's got blueprints all over that he stole from the hospital. Carl's getting away with a lot. But I love when he goes to the hospital with this building expert that owes him a favor.
Well, that was the engineer I was speaking of, that he, like wrote an article or had done some research to really just save his tiny hiney over like some prosecution. And so he's calling in a favor.
Yes. Thank you, Red. I have many good ideas in my head. None of them will ever happen, but yes. And then, but when they actually go to the hospital, I love that Carl he comes with a stethoscope.
Yes.
It's around his neck. And he's like, goes up to the security guard at the desk, and he goes, wait.
Are you getting enough sleep?
Are you getting enough sleep? You're just not
looking a little haggard,
Yeah, and he goes, and he turns around and walks into the low, go to the lower level. There were a lot of things in this episode. Isn't it strange how we think in the year 2026 here? Oh, I mean, 2024. Sorry, that happened last night.
2 years behind.
No, something happened well, I shouldn't talk about it. But yes, the things we think about, or the way we think of 2024, and we look at this episode, all the security breaches and issues and things that shouldn't be going on that Carl is doing, Dave. It's like, come on. Like, even when he's dressed like a doctor, listen, I know it happens in other shows, but the way he did it, where, and then he hands the potty things to the guy in the elevator, and he takes off his jacket. That guy should be like, I'm going to call the police. This dude may do something to the hospital.
I absolutely loved the idea of those silver porta potties that he's carrying around, and he's shoveling, and he's just like, it reminded me a little bit of Kramer, something he would do, because he's not only acting, he's like doing an act. he's creating more substance with these porta potties he's trying to, hang around with. And then when he hands it to the other person, that was classic.
Yeah, no, it was, and you see, it's like, again, should have called the police, but again, he brings them there. Thank you, Sweet Indigo. I think, I mean, listen, I know I have a wild imagination. That's for darn sure, and it's what makes me childlike still in so many ways. It's kind of a good thing. But he brings the guy downstairs, and Carl's Adam, like, what do you think? These aren't structural, are they? Then he starts going into the reasons why. And then if it's not that, what is it? If it's not that, what is it? And basically get down to, he thinks, oh, well, it could be geothermal. There's so much heat up here. It could be something geothermal underneath the hospital.
Well, what was funny about that, not so funny, but when I worked at the LA County Museum of Art, it's on Wilshire Boulevard, right next to Fairfax, and then it's right next to the Brea tar pits. So you have all this tar basically all around you, and it's always bubbling with methane. There is a membrane that we have on the lowest floor underground that checks on the amount of methane that's going up through the flooring of the museum. And if it gets too high, an alarm goes off and we have to evacuate.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So it's just that when they hit the geothermal thing, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm used to that. I know what's going on there. But
yeah, there's a thing. There's an area of land close by over here, like 5 minutes away, where there's all these pipes that are out of the ground, and it does the same thing, because I guess there's tons of, they can't build on the land because of methane underneath the ground. And so they're constantly checking that. And I could swear that at times over the years, I've smelled the methane. And I'm like, oh my God, this ain't good. Angeles, where you been? Hey, good to see you. Hi, people. Kolchak was aired by Channel 11 of Buenos Aires, Argentina in early 80s. It was pretty scary. I was 12. Yes, good to see you back, Angeles. It's been a little while since we've seen you, but good to have you back. So yeah, lots of geothermal stuff, and yeah, that's about it, Dave, right? Show's over.
Well, almost. They're not even out of the basement yet. But again, as you had mentioned, there is a lot of basement time in this episode. And I love when the guy is checking the walls and everything, because he's just like pressing against them, and he's putting his face against them. And of course, then we're just waiting pretty much for the monster, and I forget the monster's name here.
Oh, it's Machamanito.
There we go. And it was just like, we're waiting for it to make its appearance.
And what is, we find this out by Jim Elkhorn, the shaman, that it's Machamanito, and it stands for bear god. So that is kind of what is underneath this hospital. And it's because they built the hospital on Native American land, and this bear god Machamanito is there and pissed. And I do think it's interesting how they solve it at the very end. We'll talk about that. Man, what a bunch of wasted money. But go ahead, Dave.
True. Another thing, as you had mentioned, that Kolchak takes on a number of personas of doctors, and he's in one office where the guy's all, you've got to take a look at this, and he throws in a slide underneath the microscope, and Kolchak looks through and he goes, oh yeah, that's very interesting. And then the guy like actually slides it into the machine. He goes, ooh, that's even more interesting.
Yeah, and then he pushes the doctor,
real doctor,
next to him. Yeah, and he goes, oh, okay. That was an interesting scene, because the detective shows up, and the detective in this one, who I don't think it's really important, who it's played by Robert Euro. He did some Western stuff, some other stuff.
A lot
of Westerns. Yes, he plays Detective Webster. No relation to the TV show
or dictionary.
Or the dictionary, but he plays Detective Webster. And it's funny when they were all in there and they were talking about the tar-like substance, which is clotting of blood. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Carl's going on, and then when the guy goes, Dr. Kolchak, and then the detective goes, wait a second, and pulls him aside, and he's like, no, you are not a doctor. Yeah, you get out of here. But but this detective just shows up, I think, that one time, and then I don't think we see him again, really.
I don't think we do either. It was just a very quick,
Yeah.
for the thing.
But it's the bear god. Basically is sucking energy, right? Just
It is.
yeah, which I guess we'll talk about that when we get to some good lines that we got and references. It's coming up soon about the energy. Oh.
Then we go to the construction site where we actually meet the Elkhorn guy.
Yes.
So
he's on the phone with who's on the phone with? Some chick. Some
I think it's chick is so outdated.
Is it? What would you say?
She's a broad.
Okay. Yeah, broad ain't outdated. Come on. I remember my parents saying broad.
So yeah, I mean, and it's so funny because when they're showing Kolchak and he's kind of learning about some things that happened at the original site, Kolchak like holds the banister and the banister is about to break, and he's all and he like gets into this really cool elevator that brings him down to the ground floor. And in one of the trailers, we've got the Elkhorn guy, and he's talking to one of his women that has been over, but she left her shoes there, and now she wants to come back and pick them up.
Dave.
Yes.
This is a Seinfeld reference.
Okay.
I mean,
or Seinfeld reference them.
Right. But Seinfeld did this.
Okay.
He was doing exactly what George Costanza did in Seinfeld. The idea is if you're going out with a girl and you know that she's really not interested in you, or she might be, or you're unsure, you know what you do? You leave something behind. You leave a hat behind, like George Costanza did. Left his very expensive Russian fur hat
I remember
behind.
that. Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah. And he kept trying to come back and get it. And he kept annoying her, but then the annoying became, and the one time George left when he said, okay, you're not going to give me the hat, Costanza, and so she started getting that in her head and she goes, Costanza. She goes, so she started getting hooked on George.
Uh-huh.
He's doing the same thing on the phone. He's talking to this girl while Carl Kolchak's outside the door, and he's telling her, listen, I'd leave something behind. I come back, I see you again, you then we go out, he goes, I really loved your pantsuit that you had. Did you notice that? He said, I really loved your pantsuit that you had. Edith could never wear a pantsuit, but she did when she got her independence, when things started to change. Women's movement.
All right.
Archie Bunkers. But yeah, that was just such a fun little few minutes there when he was doing that, because it reminded me of Seinfeld. Always leave something behind, people. If you want to go revisit the date that you just had, it's a good reason for it. So,
and do you want to tell everyone what we are going to be doing with our Seinfeld coming up?
Okay, well, let me go to I did post a lot of streams for some upcoming streams we got going. Overnight tonight is a Johnny Dollar night. It's been over a month since I've done a Johnny Dollar night, so I'm going to do a Johnny Dollar night, the best of always. So that's tonight. Hit the thumbs up too, please. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Outer Limits next week. I pushed that. Yesterday was Dino's mind needing to rest, so I pushed it to next week. Outer Limits, the Galaxy Being, and then next Sunday, me and Dave are going to talk Art Bell.
Art Bell, yeah.
We're going to talk about the Area 51 caller episode. I think I'm going to have to rename that episode, Art Bell and something like that. But anyways, we'll be talking about that. And then we got Columbo coming up too, and lots of good stuff coming up. And you know what? I lost my train of thoughts.
We're going to be doing Seinfeld seasons. So
yeah.
I think I guess we're starting with season 1.
Yeah.
And we'll just talk generally about all the episodes and kind of the themes that we see throughout that year.
Okay, yeah. Next or 3 weeks from now. So next week it's going to be the Area 51 caller, which
Right.
that'll be an interesting show
You
because
should call it triangulation.
triangulation, yeah, something like that. And then a Columbo, and then we will be doing season 1 of Seinfeld. We're covering the whole season, and then back to a Kolchak, I think, and then maybe a Wild Wild West. But we can't put too much of a break in between those. Well, we can do anything we want.
Right. And our next Kolchak is like the pinnacle of the Kolchak series.
And isn't that funny? We go from the worst, really, in my opinion. I know not to everybody's.
Not to WTF.
No, but to me and to you. And then to the fans, lowest rated, to the highest, right? So there you go. And how do they do that? What did I think the writers just took a week off.
I guess so.
Whatever.
And CM didn't take a week off. She's here. Hello, CM.
Hey, yeah. And Black Roses finally made it. Hey, awesome. What's going on, Jody? Good to see you. Okay, so yeah, and Mamelin or Mama Lynn. Why did I say Mamelin? Somebody get hurt. They got called a Mamelins. That was a good Art Bell 911. Remember the 911 episode of Art Bell where he played 911 calls.
Well, I don't remember that.
And there was the guy in the phone booth, and he was swearing up a storm. A deer just hit his car, and it was in the back seat. He hit it.
Oh,
he pulled it in the back seat, and it woke up while I was driving, and he was swearing and going. Yeah, I ain't even going to repeat it. I shouldn't be talking the way that Art and the 911. Anyways, okay, so back to Much of a Needle.
True. And we're talking, the guy's on the phone. Did you love the way that he was able to close his door without like getting up to close the door? There was a little rope that he would pull and it would swing the door closed.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, he did it twice. And both times, Kolchak had to jump out of the way. It was great. He's all like, I'm done talking to you. Boom. And the door would swing around real quick.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's something like the Three Stooges would do, or Abbott and Costello. Boop.
Oh, yeah.
Close the door, yeah. So we also come to find out that Claudia, age 22, paralyzed, sick in hospital.
All she can do is move her right hand, but not at far enough to hit the nurse's button.
I love when Carl Kolchak does that, and he introduces a character like the patient, Claudia, age 22, paralyzed. So
I wanted to know more. It's like, what happened to her?
Why
is she paralyzed? Where's her parents?
That's the thing. There's no information on a lot of stuff. They cut a lot of corners. But listen, basically, we find out that, she's there. And she's going to be killed by this energy, much of a needle. And I don't think that much of
I love that bed that she was on, though, because it wasn't a normal hospital bed. It was a hospital bed that went like almost you could walk out of it when it was fully upright.
It could push you all the way up. It may be a special bed for people like that. I mean, she had some kind of paralyzed, she was kind of paralyzed.
That's what they said.
Yeah, she could just move her hand, but she has. Everybody's being told that these people are dying from electricity. That's all they know. Most of them are burnt, from the electrocution.
They were toasted when they were with nurse Janice. Janice pulls it back, man. That person had a tan like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I was expecting Kolchak to go, well, they died, but they sure left this earth with a good tan. Anyways, the special effects on the Outer Limits was, okay. Hey, Paul, what's going on, Paul McGee? Such an underrated show. Well, that's why we're doing it. That's why we're talking about it, because not too many people talk about it. But they're not all gems. I'll tell you that much, Paul. They're all great, and Kolchak's character makes even this show. He makes this episode. I mean, it's not one of the best, but it's watchable because Kolchak's in it. But anyways, they keep patching the wall. But go ahead, Dave.
We're up to 69 thumbs up, by the way.
Oh, yes. Let's keep it
So we're
going.
moving. Let's try to get 100 before we're out.
Yeah, Paul, hit that thumbs up. Woo! I still can't believe our record is 8 minutes in. No?
Nope. 7.
7. Oh, 7 minutes in. We had
7 with
100
a
thumbs up.
devil dog one.
Nice. Yes.
And for some reason in the chat, I don't know how it got to this. Maybe we're not paying attention as much as we should. But Southern Coke Drinker just said FDR is her favorite president.
Okay. Interesting.
We must be going way off the rails for that.
Well, the chat. Listen, I love that they're talking about whatever they want to talk about. Yeah, I hear. I'm going to the little White House.
Out of the bathroom.
So excited. Outer Limits is being talked about. Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. Harry Scott says, do not adjust your TV set. So yeah, 70 now. Okay. So Carl and the nurse.
Yes.
She gets all dressed up in her red dress. She's the woman in red. Woman in red, dancing with me, cheek to cheek. Okay. And he takes her to get information from Jim Alcorn. So he's using her.
Oh yeah.
He's using her, abusing her. Well, he's not abusing her, but he's using her. And she's into it. She goes to Jim's house and he opens the door. He doesn't want to at first because he doesn't want nothing to do with Carl. Carl, get out of my, I've got, who's there? What's her name's there?
Diane.
Diane's there.
Diane, the neighbor. And Diane is also into Columbo. She is one of the victim's wife or fiance in the Donald Pleasance episode, which is Any Old Port in the Storm. Because I heard her voice. She looked a little young, and then I'm like, oh, I know who that is. So
okay.
But she's beautiful too.
Yeah, but just a little. She's the next door neighbor who's sitting there with Jim Alcorn, who he got over to fix her toaster because her
she's got a
muffin won't fit properly in the toaster. But anyways, he's trying to get it on with her, and nurse Janice comes with Carl, and she's looking all beautiful, and she's smiling, and she's all and they're connecting right back for. And she evidently is liking Jim Alcorn here a little bit. She's smiling, and but he is such a freaking perv and womanizer. He's looking at her body as she's talking, like he's looking down at her leg, and good thing, I think on purpose, she looked away because she's like, this is ridiculous. He's just looking at my leg. But I'll look forward at the camera. It was just like, what?
And sadly, the blonde, Diane, she dies very young. She dies in her 50s.
Oh, no.
Whereas the nurse is still alive today.
Okay. Well,
and Jim Alcorn just died 2 years ago. I want to say he was 90. If Ed Stewart was here, he would have given me the exact age. But I think he was about 90 years old when he passed away.
Oh, good for him. A lot of that herbal medicine.
Definitely. And by the way, this guy, as a kid, played in a horror movie that I'm sure you've seen. Ghost of Frankenstein, 1942 is his first acting credit.
Wow. Yes. Again, you can't forget William Smith's face, who plays Jim Alcorn. You just can't forget it. Hello, Sailor Outlaw George. What's going on?
And he reminded me a little bit of Dick Gautier.
Really?
From the werewolf episode.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Kind of playing the field, being all that 70s guy, rugged, but Dick Gautier had more hair on his chest.
Dino, sexism before it was. Yes, I know it. Exactly. J.O.B. What's going on? Laura says just 90. Ghost of Frankenstein was a great movie. You better believe it. Some of the best movies ever, Universal Horror, all those 40s black and whites. But anyways, okay, so she's drilling them. They find out about the bear.
Hey, adult show.
Wait, what's going on?
It's nothing.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
Okay. So the bear god is under the hospital. He brings Jim to the hospital because he wants him to do a rain dance type of thing. Not a rain dance,
Yeah.
but a dance to speak to the bear god. He goes, listen, these are your people. You should be able to. But Jim, he says, listen, my grandfather couldn't even do it. When you expect me to do it, but he does give it a shot. And he puts his foot on the floor and he starts doing his chanting and singing. And then it starts to come up through the walls and they start shaking again. And this is the second time in the show where he runs to the elevator, closes it right on Carl. He doesn't care. He's getting the hell out of there. That happened twice.
Yep.
But luckily,
left Carl in the dust. What I especially loved about that scene is the suit he was wearing. And so happy we don't have to wear checkered suits today.
Right. Yeah. That wasn't, but listen, the 70s. Yeah. You had some interesting, I watched episode 1 of, well, thank you, J.O.W. Sorry, I pushed it a week back, but we will talk about it next Saturday. So there you go.
And I especially like when he's running away that he knocks over a ladder with a wet paint sign on it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But this is also before, and actually, I don't think he gets to press the elevator to go up because Carl drags him out because this is the X-ray scene as well.
Yes. Yes. There's a large crack on the floor. Yeah. He does pull him out. That's right. So there's a big explosion that happens in the room. And it just so happens to be the X-ray room. And it's a funny scene, right, Dave? I mean,
it's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
It's, first of all, major explosion.
Yeah.
We've got 2 dead bodies, X-ray techs, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then we have over here just a whole bunch of X-rays, like the machine just spit them out when the explosion happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, you know what? I see. I'm trying to think of how this is possible because what happens is, yes, the polyester era.
Ed says, I lived through those styles.
Very cool. The 1970s is a decade that taste forgot. I missed the 70s. Listen, you could say that about the 80s too, but listen, I love the 80s. I love aspects of the 70s style too. And some of the biggest social media influencers out there, some of them are all like 70s themed kind of anyways. Okay, so this X-ray department, it blows up and they run in there, the Jim Alcorn and Carl Kolchak. There's 2 dead bodies on the ground. They don't care. Who cares? Get the X-rays. Get the X-rays. So they start to get, and they're the X-rays, the big leaded X-ray things that you guys say something.
It just cracks me up because the people, it's dramatically dead. Their arms are up. They're not even any instance like, hey, let's check and see if they're still alive or anything like that. No, they're all X-rays, and they go and gather them up with the intent of stealing the X-rays.
Yes. They're, and I wondered why are they getting the X-rays? What made them just
that was unclear. Why would they?
Yeah, why of all things would they run and get the X-rays? But we know why afterwards. But during that scene, it's like, why are you grabbing all the X-rays? And Carl's go, yeah, pick them up, go get them. And then doctors are running in and they're looking at the dead and they just let them.
Yeah, and to me, I'd be all like, hey, put those X-rays down.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. Vincenzo wasn't in a scene bailing Carl out of jail.
Exactly, because this episode he did a lot of things he shouldn't have been doing either. But we find out that he's back at the office. And I guess he's developed the X-rays. I don't know how. You're mute.
There's a dark room.
Yeah, but is there a special way to develop X-rays? I don't know. Listen.
I don't know either, but
either way, he's go ahead, Dave.
Middle of the night. This is the cool scene where they're hanging out. They've got all these X-rays everywhere and they're trying to tape them together like it's a giant puzzle. Again, how they know it's a puzzle, I don't know.
And how the image of this bear much
We don't
of a
even get a
needle.
picture of a bear.
Yeah, much of a needle. Well, it's just okay. So they tape it all together by putting it together like a puzzle.
Yeah, and
You
then
get a
it's
big
a
eye.
stupid wasted scene because they don't have enough room. They're all, hey, let's do this on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. But they're
Ugh.
putting it together as a puzzle. And I've got two things to say. How did it get imprinted on several, like 10, 12, like X-ray slide things? Like how, and then you put it together as a, it makes no sense, but it's good for story.
Go ahead. Yeah, but go ahead, because one of your favorite quotes was here
Yes,
as well.
as while he's putting the puzzle of the X-rays together, Kolchak's looking, putting up this X-ray together. This fits here, and then he comes across and he goes, "That's a vertebrae. What's that doing in here?" And he throws it behind him. Like,
It's the only thing that really should be there.
I'm like, what the heck? Right, that's a real X-ray. But the others, I don't know. And what they make out of it is a large eye. And they're like, because they back up and then they could see it, and they go, whoa,
Yeah.
okay, that's the bear god.
And it's just an eye. It doesn't look like a bear.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Listen, there's lots of interesting things about this episode. So they go back, and this is when they start talking. Refresh my memory. He goes back and he goes to the where all the doctors are talking.
No, they go back to Elkhorn's home, and he's got all these reference books.
Okay.
And we're seeing images of what this thing looked like in prehistory and in Native American and in French and all this. And they're realizing that the monster goes dormant during the wintertime, that it's only active during the summer. Yeah. And then we learn that some of the water has receded. That's where they're building the hospital. So it's warming that area up. And that's why the monster is now awake.
Okay. So where does he, I'm trying to remember, does he go back to the hospital, or does he go to the doctor's office where they're all congregated? Because they start talking about
they go to the doctor's office.
Yeah, and I think he explains like what's going on here. He's trying to explain to them that there's this Native American like entity. Underneath the hospital, and they're like going, no, and he's trying to convince them and stuff like that. And then they start talking about how and what this thing does. Like he breathes it in and blows it out. He sucks the energy from the people who are dying. He pulls out all their energy, I think, because he says he breathes it in and blows it out. And he says, he says kind of like overcharging your patients. Which means they're actually, when he's blowing the energy in, overcharging them and electrocuting them to the point of dying. So that's what it is. So that's why the joke, kind of like overcharging your patients. But I still am a little confused on if this is trying to kill or what is it trying to do?
What exactly? Did he know he was killing these people, or what's going on? What bothered me. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Oh, no, he might.
All right, you should see it once.
Yeah.
You should see it once, unless your name's WTF Horror and Sci-Fi. Yeah. Then you can watch it as much as you want.
Yeah, WTF's seen it 50 times.
Oh, I can imagine.
Hey,
I can imagine.
What's going on? Okay, go on.
But my question about it is, what the hell is a cobalt room?
I didn't look it up. Cobalt is a type of rock.
Right.
Okay.
But it's
what's it doing in the hospital?
What is it doing in a hospital?
Okay. I have no idea. Did you look up cobalt in hospitals? Let's see.
No, I didn't.
Cobalt in hospitals. Okay, let's see if it says anything. How does cobalt-60 benefit healthcare? Cobalt. It's an isotope, syringes, scalpels, the masks, sterilize. Oh, maybe for sterilizing of the equipment. Okay. So, anyways, there you go. There's a Cobalt room, and evidently this thing, when they all go down there, the doctor and all these people, because they're like, okay, well, they're trying not to believe what's going on and what Carl Kolchak's saying. And when they get down there, the Cobalt room is just like starting to crack and everything else. And I like how he says the energy's feeding on the Cobalt because the room's expanding. He's feeding on it. Thus, it's going to explode. So yeah.
I'm going to go let him out. That's stupid. Don't do that.
I'm going to go let it out. Yeah. That's something you do after you ate a big meal of, Italian meal. You go let it out.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to go to the matcha
needle.
Yeah. That sounds like a type of food you'd eat and spend a lot of time in the bathroom afterwards.
That lasagna have a lot of ricotta. Ooh. Hey, Sandy Bofa, what's up? How you doing? Well, I'll say the last word. Never.
And it looks like she has a water lily flower as a moniker.
Oh, nice. Well, you should visit our paranormal gardener, Dave, here.
The link is right down below.
Link is below.
Come hang out with me and Bo. We walk the garden every Saturday morning.
Yes, Sandy Bofa. So there you go. Cobalt is radioactive. It's radioactive. Is it really? Okay. So anyways, so yeah, after all of that, Kolchak goes back to the office to get the very best cameras.
Oh yeah.
At the office, Dave.
These are high-tech cameras that the films are like $40 a roll or something like that. And it is like, I love the scene because he closes the door and there's Vincenzo, the cabinet door. And Vincenzo's all, what are you doing with those cameras? One's infrared and the other is ultraviolet. And so he's going to go take pictures trying to capture this Mindo, and he's got it underneath his jacket. Yeah, thank you. And he's got it underneath his jacket like you can't see it, Thank you, Harry.
And we got, everybody knows, yep, we using radiation treatment for cancer. Okay.
Nice that the chat's smarter than we are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we didn't look up Cobalt. We should have. We should do our due diligence. But thank you, everybody for the thumbs up and all of that good stuff. Johnny Dollar tonight. Okay, so what ends up happening is he takes the cameras, the expensive cameras, because what Kolchak wants, Kolchak does. Vincenzo just hollers and goes, oh, and I like when he says much of a needle, and Kolchak tells him it's a Cuban boxer.
Yes.
He goes, here's the odds, and he gives him a bill. And
bantamweight.
Yeah, he's a bantamweight. And uptight asks him, what's how much of a needle? And Vincenzo looks right at him and goes, oh, it's a bantamweight from Cuba. Okay. These Kolchak chats are my favorite. He's an American version of Sherlock Holmes. Thank you, Sandy Bof. I appreciate it. You should join in the chat more often. Oh, it says, well, I'm 60 and a nurse, and I remember watching Kolchak every week as a kid. Very cool, Sandy. Awesome. Okay, so I think this ending, there's a lot of oddities in the ending too, but basically, what are they going to do down there, Dave, to this much of a needle?
Well, Kolchak shows up, and again, he's sneaking in, not as a doctor this time, but as a construction worker, because they have evacuated the entire hospital. And of course, if you've never evacuated a hospital before, oh my gosh, it's not only people and finding places in other hospitals, it's the heart and lung and kidney machines and blah, blah, blah. So all these people are working, and he grabs a hat and he walks in, and they are shoving pipes down into the vents, and it's liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess their whole point and what they're thinking is they're going to freeze it. They're going to liquefy with liquid nitrogen. They're going to freeze.
I thought they were just going to make it so cold it would go hibernating again.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Dave. That could be quite possible. But wouldn't it feel the heat immediately again? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I guess that's what they're going to do, because even Carl's there, and he's watching all of this, and he sees it says chemical, and then it says liquid nitrogen, but he hangs around the place, man. I'm like, that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, but what I thought was kind of cool was once they started piping in the liquid nitrogen, is Carl Kolchak's over by the cracks, and he starts to try to film, but it won't allow him, because it's like it's coming up through the crack, like that cold liquid nitrogen is pushing it up through the crack. He grabs a fire extinguisher, which I do believe has liquid nitrogen, right? Am I wrong? Cold.
I don't know.
Some of them did. Well, anyways, but he starts shooting at it like he's pushing it back down through the crack, and I'm like, that's very interesting the way he's doing that. So they're kind of like from both ends, pushing it deeper, deeper, and deeper.
It is, but it's also at this time, right before that happens, he overhears the architect and one of the person in charge of the hospital, and they agree that it is this monster and what they're doing to take it out. So they are aware that it is this supernatural Native American type monster.
Yes. And
then everyone's evacuated. It's like, okay, we got the last of the construction workers out, and they close the door, and Carl is still in there, and they're pumping liquid nitrogen, and that's something that's really
not good
in Carl's career.
Yeah, well, and he turns around, and there's like mist all on the ground, which I guess is the liquid nitrogen,
or dry ice.
Right. But he's like stops in his tracks, like he can't move no more. And I'm like, did the much of a needle you grab him?
No, I thought his feet froze to the ground. That's what I thought. I thought he actually stepped into the liquid nitrogen, and he's like, oh man, I can't walk anymore because my shoes are melted to the ground, basically.
As we find out, though, he nothing needed amputated, but he had a little bit of frostbite.
He did. But what bothered me is when he fell into that sea of,
sea of love,
sea of whatever.
I don't know what.
Shaka Khan. And so, then his whole back is going to be frozen. He's just going to die. But he wakes up and he sees this gigantic creature, this dark creature, and he thinks it's the match thing, and around, and it's
Machu Picchu. Yeah. Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah, I'd like to go there one day.
And he turns around, and it's Vincenzo.
Jody would say that. It was cold as ice, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Always with the song. Black Roses. Love it. Black Roses, you were around before the old time radio stuff, weren't you? You were here when it was just me and Ted doing the horror stuff. Black Roses, weren't you? Tell me if I'm wrong. I do remember that. I could be wrong, but yes, I remember you as far back as then. Night Fright Talk Show says number 77, thumbs up. Not going to get 100 tonight, but please let's keep trying. Hit that thumbs up button, like it, do whatever. Tell your family and your friends that there's this really cool channel called The Late Late Horror Show where these guys get together and talk about great shows. Like write graffiti on bathroom walls if you could. If you email me, I'll send you my phone number. You could put that on there too.
I thought it was 867-5309.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody, I think most people know it though by now. You guys are doing such a good job of describing this up, so I'm starting to remember all these things, and it was 50 years ago. Well, there you go. Yeah,
thank you.
Listen, we're really good. Stop, I had that song play on my first date ever. Remember? Oh no! Oh, well, is that bad or good, Sandy? Were you cold as ice? I mean, tell me what's going on there. Anyways, okay, so yeah, wakes up in the hospital, looks at Vincenzo. Vincenzo's got a, it was really nice. It was like a Sherlock Holmes Watson moment,
It was, but Carl got rude at the end.
Yeah, he did.
And basically said, goodbye, Vincenzo, like kicking him out.
Yeah, because Vincenzo gives him he says this didn't develop, and he crinkles it. And I'm like wondering, well, why did he do that? Did it have a picture of the Munchinamino on there?
Well, he would have crinkled all those X-rays too had he not put them together.
And Kolchak started talking about the other pictures like they were pictures he took that Vincenzo shouldn't have seen. Vincenzo goes, here's your pictures. Like what pictures were those? He was doing a side job. I don't know. It was spectacular. It was not cold. Well, there you go, Sandy. Awesome. Good memories then, right? Yeah. Good to hear. Okay. So it ends like that. I do like, though,
yes,
that they say after all the millions and millions and millions of dollars they put into this brand new hospital, it's being torn down. And you know what it's being torn down for? A beautiful lakefront marina.
So they're going to let the water come back over and keep the spirit cold and hibernating, saving all of humanity.
All of humanity?
For duty and humanity. Yes.
For duty and humanity. George Costanza.
No, Three Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard.
Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard. The nurse in there too, that the apple thing. She was
I love it. That's a pippin. I know what a pippin is. It's an apple with the skin on the outside.
I know what a pippin is. But she had this really low Gracie Allen type voice.
She did.
And I loved it.
Yeah, totally.
It was so awesome. He was 12 US. So as a nurse, I got such an extra big kick out of this. Very good, Sandy. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? I mean, that's the episode. I mean, it was an average or maybe even a little bit below average episode for Kolchak. You know what I'm finding out is the standouts for Kolchak are standouts. They're awesome.
Yeah. But
when you get the shows that just like this, it's just like, I could do without that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, no. So there you go. That's the episode. Yeah. I wonder if aliens listen to music. I think all life forms respond to sound in different ways, and it's probably an emotional way. So yeah, I think every living we wouldn't call it music, right, Dave? But I think there are sounds that I think an alien would probably, let's just think about this, sit down, listen to, and it will comfort them, right? Am I wrong?
I would imagine so, yes.
Okay. That was
I can't think if on Voyager that didn't they include a record of the sounds of Earth?
Oh yeah, no, they did. Yeah.
So I would imagine we would think that other entities would have ears and listen to music and have it affect them.
Even if they didn't have ears, how about something that picks up vibration?
Okay.
Or color from sound? Who knows? But it's a very interesting concept.
When I think of contacting aliens, I don't think it's so much in terms of music as I do in math, because that's what they're, generating, the zeros and ones and things like that.
Well, that's, I think, the universal language.
Yeah.
And they talk about that in First Contact too with Jodie Foster. So there you go. Okay, Dave. So yeah, next week we will be talking. Yes, we will be talking Area 51.
And ironically, it's our 13th Art Bell episode.
It is number 13. So look forward to that. Please leave a comment down below afterwards if you enjoyed the show. We'd appreciate that, right, Dave?
Absolutely, 100%. We'll respond back to it. Thank
Yep.
you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for all the watches, not the physical watches on your wrist, but for all the views, I should say. So
What
thank you.
time is it? It's time for watches. Okay.
It's funny 5 time.
It's funny 5 time? 5, 6, 7, 8. What's that mean?
It's Dr. Demento.
Oh,
You never had Dr. Demento in Cleveland?
no.
Yeah, so he would play just really awesome, fun records, comedy records and stuff. And at the very end of his show, it's funny 5 time. And he would play the top 5 requested songs that people called in or wrote in during the week, and he would play them.
Yeah. Sandy sending some energy to Ed. Ed, you'll be fine.
Yeah, good luck, Ed.
But yeah, much love to you, my friend. You'll be fine. Just eat a good Italian meal when you get home, or the next day, maybe
the next day.
Yeah, it'll probably be the next.
Have like an egg McMuffin when you get home.
Yeah, something light.
And take a nap because you'll wake up and you'll go back to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, and was it Harry Scott? Do we cheat him and how?
Do we cheat him and how? Yeah.
I love that. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Anyways, let's end this. I'm getting ready for the stream overnight, you guys. Johnny Dollar all night long. Hopefully you enjoy that, and see you guys very soon. Right, Dave?